Alright folks, it's Farhan again. Uh, Today I'm going to be talking about overly chatty DJs. If you're a student, then you're probably going to know what this is like. You're dancing away to a tune and you've got a DJ talking over the crowd every 30 seconds. You know, talking about this being a huge tune and bigging up to every set of student halls on campus, all that sort of thing. Um, there's no need for it. It completely ruins the dynamic of the evening. You know, one or two shout outs every hour, or one or two even every half hour, fine. You make them short, you make them sweet, you do your dedications, and you carry on with your mix. This guy was killing the music completely, talking for a couple of minutes and then starting it all back up again. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. If you know any DJs who do this, or you're a DJ who does this, get them to stop or just stop. You stop. Why? It was a student night in Northampton. I live in Northampton. I go out in Northampton. I know a lot of DJs in Northampton. I know a lot of venues in Northampton. So I'm not going to name any names. But why do you feel the need to do it? Is it a personal thing? Tell me. Tell me why. Oh, right. On to something worth talking about. I'm going to talk about frequency mixing today. What makes it useful? I will give you an example. If you have one track running, as you usually do, you're queuing up another one, especially with electronic dance music or house. It's very common for during a club mix for there to be about 8 or 16 bars of pretty much just kick and some percussion. Kick being a bass drum, and you'll have hats or you'll have a drum tom or something or some kind of other syncopated percussion. Um, it makes it a slightly smoother transition. So if I've got a track playing in the background, I can have my cued track on a 16 or 32 beat loop, and I can feed the bass into it while the first track is in a breakdown. So about two-thirds of the way through, there is usually a breakdown in a house track. It's either a vocal breakdown or it's a synth breakdown. So I can have the kick pounding there where there's usually just nothing. It keeps the energy up on the dance floor, and it demonstrates a slightly more in-depth knowledge of what you're doing. I mean, if you've had a rhythm going for the last sort of 20-25 minutes, then yeah, a nice refrain would be nice. So like even just as the intro of one of the tracks where you pass the kicks and all that sort of thing, and you just get to a synth line. Um, it is sometimes quite nice just to have a voice or a synth, something that people can just chill out to for a minute. If you're into your house, you know that people are sort of really jumpy and everyone's jumping around and hands in the air and all this sort of thing. It does happen. I've seen it. Um, but yeah, frequency mixing can also mean that if you've got an instrumental track playing on one side, on the other side you can have the bass turned down completely, and you can just have an a cappella style vocal going over the top. Um, as long as they're mixed well and uh, and everything matches up, and the two tracks suit each other, then you'll end up with a fantastic mix. There's a track called Lemon. I can't remember who it's by, um, but I've mixed that with Heaven. So I'll just have Baby All That I Want um, on a loop, and I'll just sort of cut it in whenever it fits. Really, you have to feel these things. It's really difficult to explain how the mind of a DJ works. It's really quite sort of subjective depending on where you are, depending on the type of night that you're going to be doing. I've done stuff like student nights where all they want is stuff like the Spice Girls, One Direction, Take That, and Westlife. I'm not going to dispute that it doesn't work, because it does. Sorry, I'm not going to say that it doesn't work because it actually does. So you don't mess with that kind of thing. But if you're at a bar or a club, or even a pub that sort of emulates a club sort of thing, it's difficult to know where to start and where to stop with all your loops and your samples and that. Because if I'm just throwing a load of one-shot samples in, yeah, fair enough, it sounds good for a while, but after that, you just kind of get tired of it. And if you're getting tired of it, imagine what your crowd are thinking. Um, I was told by a couple of DJs locally that too much of something can be way too much, even if it sounds good initially. You can always cut back on these things and save them for a later date. So I guess what I'm trying to say is um, sometimes less is more, um, and always take away frequencies before you add them. I think the same applies in production as well. So if you're producing a track and you're writing a breakdown, then okay, it's a breakdown. You don't have to make it too complicated. You don't have to have a massive build up with white noise and with a pitch rising synth and with a bass line that's doing something funky and having syncopated percussion all in there at the same time. You don't need it. You can always just keep it a lot simpler than that. So there's no point in rushing things and making it seem like you know what you're doing when you're really just creating and expressing yourself, which is what music should be in the first place. So I guess that's all I'm going to talk about on that. I would like to know your guys' views on house music, what you think. Firstly, what you think house music is, what you think the difference is between something like funky house and Dutch house. If you haven't heard of Dutch house, look into it. If you're into anything urban and you like your sort of um, bashment and what have you, that's cool. But check out Dirty Dutch House. Any Dutch house, awesome. Laid Back Luke, Dada Life, Quintino, Hard Rock Sofa. There's a track called Quasar by Hard Rock Sofa that sounds unbelievable. I've played that while I've been playing stuff like Migraine Skank and all the rest of it, and it fits in really well. So if you're an urban DJ, you fit into an urban crowd. Here's one of my secrets. This track's only been out for a couple of weeks, but I must have played it at pretty much every gig that I've done. So if you like it, go for it. Add Hard Rock Sofa on Twitter, follow them, and just give them big ups. Whichever tracks you're using by whoever, if you DJ, let them know that you're using them. Even big time DJs kind of like it when their tracks are being played elsewhere. That's all I have to say on that. I will see you in the next installment. Take it easy.